Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Living Room Fight Club. Today I've got Dave with me, the man himself. We're going to be talking about Prime today. They've recently got a new sponsorship with the UFC. Dave, what are your thoughts on the new sponsorship with Prime and what does it mean for the UFC?
Personally, I think, it's a great opportunity. I think for Prime to become a even bigger sports drink. I think obviously it's been developed and obviously created last year. So I think it's been a year now, and they've made a lot of hype. Obviously, Logan Paul and KSI have obviously started it together. It's going to be great for UFC because again, it's going to be everywhere, isn't it? Like you're going to see it literally plastered absolutely everywhere. It's going to be Prime this, Prime that. Like we've seen Dana White enjoy drinking Prime as well. Like a few weeks back. Like I feel like I don't know for both businesses, for both companies, is going to be obviously it's a great opportunity, great way to generate more money. So obviously I'm looking at it from the sort of the business side of things, but like on the other side is again just other people just getting richer and richer. Like obviously UFC, Dana White, obviously Logan Paul and KSI again. Will just increase their incomes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. With the new deal, it's going to bring more eyeballs to the UFC. I'm all for that. It's not the UFC doesn't need it, but I think it's good to have a new sort of fan base that's going to be entering the UFC, like the KSI and Logan Paul fans.
Yeah,
because of that sponsorship, they are going to come over, and it is going to attract more eyeballs. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can see there's going to there's got a lot more happening because of again obviously they're YouTubers, social media influencers. There's going to be a lot more traction with like other people joining, other things happening potentially. But I just hope that with that being obviously the case for the sports drink, I hope it doesn't turn to anything else. So what I mean by that is, other things start happening in the UFC. We've enjoyed UFC for so many years before, right? With how it was set up, So I just hope with that on board now, the things will not change. Like, you don't want to see some stuff that you've never seen before on it, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. From what I've seen, they're implementing a couple new things into the UFC. So there's new fighter stools, I believe, in between corners that are obviously going to be Prime branded. I believe they're octagon shaped as well. What a treat that is for us.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. Wow, that's great. I believe there's some new Prime stools that are octagon shaped being added, and also they have taken over the red and blue corners, and they're now called Prime Hydration Recovery Zones. Which doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it?
No, it's a bit too much, isn't it? When you think about it, like, wow.
You're gonna have the great Mr. Bruce Buffer enter somebody into the octagon, fighting out of the red Prime Hydration Recovery Zone.
Yeah, that just doesn't make just. I would say it doesn't make sense, but it's just like it's a bit too much, right?
It's so. I think it's so over the top. It does not need to be that. It doesn't. If anything, why not call it the red Prime Zone? Even I don't want that, but that would be better than what it is currently.
Is it the fight then? Like all the fights will take an extra 5 minutes because you have to like use Prime and start calling things differently. Like wow,
literally, yeah. And again, not only is it Bruce Buffer, it's going to be the commentators as well. They're going to have to say, it will be the first card that's going to be on is Volkanovski versus Makaev. So it's going to be, Volkanovski fighting out of the red Prime Hydration Recovery Zone. I think it's awful. I think it's so over the top. It just does not need to be that.
Yeah, again, like I said before, it's like from the business side of things, great because it's an opportunity for both brands to expand and make a lot more greens, as they say. But if they're going to start turning it into something that we do not want to see, I think it's not going to be great. Like you just described, obviously the two corners, the things that will change. What other things they have in line to change that is going to be Prime related. I would love to see the contract. Like, obviously, they'll never show that about what does it stipulate, what's on it, like what they're going to change. You know, what I mean, are we going to see Dana White and all the fighters wear Prime T-shirts before the fight when they do the press conferences? You never know.
Yeah, no, who knows, mate? That could easily happen. If they're willing to change the red and blue corners to that, why would you not think they're not going to force the fighters to wear Prime T-shirts to drink Prime drinks? Well, I already know they're going to drink out of Prime bottles. Whether that's going to be the Prime drink, I doubt. It's probably going to have water in them, but I'm sure they're going to be drinking out of the Prime bottles now. And the thing that angers me, the thing that annoys me the most, is you get a big sponsor like this, you get Dana White shouting about it, you get Logan Paul shouting about it, you get KSI shouting about it. None of the fighters benefit a penny from it. This does not affect the fighters whatsoever. Yeah. And it drives me mad. Like you said, it's going to make a few more people rich. It's going to make 3, 4, 5 people rich, but it ain't going to make the fighters any more money. And that to me, I think it's fucking disgusting. The stature of that brand, the stature of the UFC, and they do a massive sponsor, so much so it's taken things out of the UFC and changing it, like the corners. Yet the fighter who's fighting, putting his health on the line or her health on the line, and they benefit nothing from it. I think it's appalling.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with that. At the end of the day, those three that are obviously signed on for the deal, so KSI, Logan Paul, and obviously Dana White, are all three of them. They're not going to be risking their health, like you said. I absolutely agree with you. They're not going to be the ones who will be sweating blood and tears, as you say, when they're preparing for the fight. It's literally, again, just another cash cow. I think, it is going to, slightly change the view of UFC now. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's not going to happen because, UFC's got this, it's very unique, right? It's got its ways of doing things we all enjoy on day to day, on week to week, how the fights are. Leave it as it is, right? And if they're going to obviously invest in Prime and have them as a sponsor, as a drink, why not invest obviously in the fighters as well, right? Help them out, make their experience a lot better, right? Using that, just promote it. So actually, when you have new fighters on board or things like that, they'll enjoy coming over or enjoy joining, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing, again, going back to a couple episodes ago, this is the thing with the UFC. They do business, in a good way, but they do not benefit the fighters whatsoever in deals like this. This is why Francis Ngannou, for example, left. It wasn't on the terms of money; they were paying fine. It was the premise of fighters on the card having sponsors that they can find themselves to earn that bit of money. If you've got such a massive sponsor in Prime, whack the logo on the shorts and give the fighters a cut. I do not see how they could not afford that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure there was enough money in the pot for it to be spread across all the fighters, right? Like they're going to be wearing the merch. I can see it happening now, like on their shorts and things like that. It's going to be prime, and like you said, not benefiting from that. It's totally, absolutely fucking disgusting. So yeah, on that base, definitely, But in terms of like the drink itself, have you ever tried it?
I haven't tried it. I'm not willing to pay the prices they're at the minute for a drink. That is not for me. Have you?
No, I haven't actually. I've done a bit of research into it. What it actually, what are the contents of it? And it's like 200 milligrams of caffeine. It says 0 sugar, only 10 calories. It's got 300 milligrams of electrolytes, coconut water, and 5 delicious flavors, right? So they got orange mango, strawberry watermelon, blue raspberry, lemon lime, tropical punch, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, in terms of like the prices, like I've been looking just on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace, right? And people are selling for a stupid amount of money. One bottle, £80 or something like that. Like someone's selling a 6-pack for like 100, and you're like, why? What?
Jesus Christ! Yeah, how? Like, why can a drink be so good? You're purely paying for that. It says Prime on the bottle. Like any other drink does not cost anywhere near that amount of money. I do not get the hype behind buying into a drink, even paying more than £2 a bottle, to me is insane.
Yeah, You literally are just paying for the fact that it's been created by two social media influencers, two YouTubers, and it just became popular, right? They blew it
Hmm.
out of proportion to what it is, and everyone's just jumping on a hype wagon, right? Every
Yeah,
single time you see it, little kids. There was something over Christmas period that apparently a dad spent like $1,000 or £1,000 on the fucking prime drinks, yeah, for their kids because they were really hyped up because they see it on fucking social media. Like, what the
yeah.
fuck? Where are we heading with all this shit? You know?
Yeah, yeah, you know, it's kind of scary that two people like that can easily affect, you know, how well it's smart. You know, they're obviously doing the right things. They're making themselves a lot of money. It's just insane how they can not trick, but you know how they can get away with charging this much. I know it's not their fault, like directly, but come on now, it's a bit excessive, isn't it? Like it's targeting kids, and then the kids are going to fester the parents, and then the parents are going to give in and do it. Like
Yeah.
again, business side is great, but Jesus, man, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I'm now gonna go a bit like into more in depth with that, like with how things are in the economy across the world, how things are for them to charge this amount of money for a essentially a sports drink, right? Which I can assure you is probably the same as Gatorade or like Powerade or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously I'm not.
Mm.
Maybe it's amazing. Yeah, I'm not trying to say that, but
Mhm.
you never know, right? It could be exactly the same thing, right? So why?
Yeah,
Because of two media influencers, we have to pay so much for it. The hype is there. They're literally like they're making so much cash out of that. But again, it doesn't help anyone else, just themselves, right? So all these families who are, let's say, struggling for money or they're okay, like because of the whole hype thing, because their kids like, give me prime, give me prime, give me prime, they'll literally have to go and buy it, right? Because like this is how the society is made, right? They'll literally see something on the internet. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We love it. Just then to buy it. It's absolutely mental.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you say, with you know, living is getting so much more expensive and more expensive by the day. You know, people can't be forking out for that amount of money, but you know, parents do give in because they want to make their children happy, so on and so forth. But like you said, they're not doing anything with that with all this extra money they're getting. It's clearly for themselves. If they were showing us that after I don't know 1 million bottles of Prime is bought, we're gonna go and do this to give back. There's none of that. There's nothing happening at all other than give me all of your money.
Yeah, let me fill my
They're not.
pockets up. Yeah, that's
That's
what
it.
it is.
And another thing, it's sponsored by the UFC. What are the UFC doing? What are they building gyms for? Areas that can't really afford it using this money because well, they're going to get more eyeballs. But if Prime is sponsored by the UFC, after 100,000 bottles of sold, we're going to put something towards this MMA gym. There's so many things that they could be doing to not only that would help the brand. Especially with us MMA fans, it will help the brand to show that we're giving back to the MMA community. We're not just using your platform to get us more money.
100% totally agree with you. Like we know from our previous like podcast episode that a lot of fighters come from nothing, right? And they obviously they struggle to get somewhere in terms of like training, where to go and how to do it. This will be a perfect opportunity for that brand and UFC to create so many training facilities or invest money. Like, I don't know, build like extra things in schools to help and support the communities, right? People are struggling on day to day, but obviously, like you said, hardcore UFC fans, they would love to see something to be done with that brand and UFC combination, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're both such massive platforms now. They're entities of their own stature. They're huge. There's so much money involved. I find it baffling that they're not doing anything to give back to the community. Like I said, they might give personally to charities. I don't know, but I would want to see the UFC and Prime partnership are building this. We're doing this to give back to people that's put so much effort and money into us. £6 a fucking bottle later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus.
And this is just a little stat for you there, right? So between all three of them, guess how many social media followers they've got altogether?
Oh my God. It's over 10 million, surely.
No. It's 400 million social media followers.
400 million.
Yeah, it's absolutely. This is just crazy. See what I mean? Like the hype. it's obviously UFC fans. Now you got the like people who are enjoying the Prime and obviously enjoy like seeing the social media influence all put together, man. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
400 million and 400 million, so many millions and millions and millions of dollars involved, and the fighters who actually make the sport what it is get absolutely nothing.
Yep. Horrible.
Oh, mate. This is the thing. From a business standpoint, you know, they're making a lot of money. Good for you. Good for the four of you. What about all your hundreds and hundreds of fighters that are fighting for their families? They do it because that's the only thing they know how to do. That's what they're good at. They're going out there providing for their families, and you can't chuck them 6K. Do you know what I mean? You can't chuck them 6K a fight. It's baffling, man. I think it's such a kick in the teeth for fighters. Again, the same with The Rock. Like The Rock has a sponsor. No idea what the name is, but you know the fighters are forced to wear the shoes. They're forced to wear these shoes. Are they getting a cut of it? No, they're not.
Wow. Okay, that is just a controversial topic we should actually do. I think, but
yeah,
isn't it? Like one person gets the benefit from it, like the company does as well, but not the people wearing it. It's mental.
No, that's it. So in that case, The Rock is benefiting, the UFC is benefiting, and the fighters doing all of the work. Nah, thank you. Just a thank you. Thank you for doing the work.
Yeah. Jesus.
Man, it's just that's the look. That's the world we live in. Unfortunately, the UFC is a business. It's not, you know, it's there for our entertainment, yes, but it is there to make money at the end of the day. And when an opportunity like that comes up, they're not going to pass it down. You know, I just think for the fans and for the fighters, they could have handled it a bit better. But just not, 100%. You know, that's not the way they roll.
Yeah, 100%. Again, make it for the fighters, make it for the whole like community of UFC people. Like make it even, make it like better. Yeah, it's going to be like the year, like the deal that they've signed is more like for a few years. So we're going to see it now for the next few years everywhere, right? But like I just hope that what they can do with it is not just obviously earn money from it, create something, build things, help support those struggling families of like the fighters or whatever. Just like invest in them. Just do something for a good cause, right? We know from previous episodes of this podcast or even seen it on the news, Dana White was in hot water. Yeah, we know he was in hot water, right? Make something nice, clear your name, make it a little bit better so people can actually speak to you about you a bit more nicer. Yeah, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's, you know, with recent events, he's got some making up to do essentially, and again, there's such big organisations, they can easily do something bigger than just make themselves money. I saw Logan Paul tweeting a couple of days before saying, "Oh, big news incoming involving the UFC and stuff like this," you know, and it's just so clickbait. It's big news for you and Dana White. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They should be given back. Dana should be doing things to, you know, put him in a better light, put the UFC in a better light, because things like that do tarnish it, unfortunately. You know, there's so many ways they could have gone about it, but they just, again, complete disregard of the fighters, and it's just the four of them want to make money.
Yep. Just greedy people.
It is. The UFC is such a powerhouse. You know, it's doing well in the UK, but in America, I could only imagine how, you know, it takes over. And the fact they do nothing with it, you don't hear of anything that they're giving back. You don't hear nothing. You hear of fighters doing so. Ngannou's building stuff in his home country.
Yeah,
the UFC should be doing that for him under his name. Thank you for all the stuff you've done. We're going to build this in your hometown because of what you've done for us. You know.
Yeah, thank you for having your face punched like multiple times. Like, thank you for putting your body on the line. Here you go. We're going to build a sporting facility in your name. Yeah, that'll be amazing to see. But
literally,
about that.
No way. See you later. We don't want to give you any more sponsors. We don't want to give you the opportunity to earn more money. It's the UFC are doing some crazy things at the minute, and like you said, now's the time when they should be winning us over. You know, just to chat a bit more shit while I'm here. There's a massive fight coming up with Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. It's a crazy fight. You've got the pound for pound number 1, pound for pound number 2. There's so many more things involved, and again, you don't see no promotion. It's in 2 weeks. All you see is Dana White slap fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the slap fighting. that's a part-time thing. The UFC is your main focus, and you have such a huge fight on the horizon, and you're just going again. You're focusing on the Prime deal. You're focusing on slap fighting or power slap, wherever it's called. When you've got the biggest things in front of your face, and they're just going off in crazy directions.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think he just needs to realign himself and obviously think about what started this whole journey for him to actually become who he is now. Yeah, Dana White, UFC made him to what he is now, right? So maybe again, like you said, the focus I think needs to be reset onto the stuff that actually will make us fans appreciate it more rather than hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, he built the UFC, therefore the UFC built him. That they're a package deal at the minute. But when is the point where you've got enough money where you're gonna start giving back to your fighters and giving back to the communities that your fighters have come from? When is the point? When is the point where you've got enough money to do so? Obviously, they already have. But when's enough? When is enough where you're gonna finally give back to the people that made you?
I don't think there is ever an end to that, my man, because looking at it, again, business side of things, he's just going to be looking at more and more opportunities for him to make his bank account grow. That's what it is all about.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is at the minute, but it's a sad thing. Like we said, the reason I get so angry about it is just because you have such a bit what could be a huge deal in the whole of the sport, essentially, with these massive deals and partnerships, and they just they fumble it big time.
Yeah, I do agree. But hopefully, onto the bigger and better things. Hopefully, for the community and for the fighters. Let's hope something will come out of that.
Yeah, there's still time with Prime growing. It might turn into a bit of a better thing. It might just be because it's new. I hope it's just because it's new. They're just, trying to find their ground in sports promotion, because I can only assume it's going to go into boxing with Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, so on and so forth. It's more than likely going to carry over to boxing. So, is it just going to be, you're just going to see their logos on the rings and on shorts and stuff, and that's it? Or are they going to build something more of the brand and make it so, yes, Prime does a sports drink, but what else do they also do? Do you know what I mean? They also partner up with massive organizations and businesses and do better for the world. I don't know how that has not been brought up. It does nothing but benefit everybody, and it puts a better name for them, a better name for the UFC, and it's going to build over time that way. It's going to build a better fan base that way, instead of just taking the money and running, essentially.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head right there with that, because whatever you look at anywhere online, there was nothing to say about they're going to do this. It's everything about they've just signed a multi-million dollar deal, and that is it. Like, you can just see the cash money just being fucking just spread everywhere, but you don't see anything else. So we can clearly see from the beginning this is all about more money in the pocket.
Well, hold your horses there, Dave. You get an octagon-shaped stool, mate.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right, so moving on to another topic that we have got for you guys today. Conor McGregor is planning, or it's actually been confirmed, that he will be fighting Michael Chandler. So, big thing, massive. We all know that last time Conor McGregor was active in the on the UFC scene was July 2021. So it's been, a little bit of time when obviously he hasn't actually been in the octagon. But yeah, what are your thoughts on all that?
Obviously, straight out of the bat, looking forward to it always. McGregor never puts on a boring fight. He's always going to fight. It's always going to be a massive build-up. He's always going to be talking shit. He's always going to be selling them pay-per-views. So, straight off the bat, I'm all for it. McGregor's come back. You can't go wrong. I assume I can say the same for you also.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Like, don't get me wrong. Like you've said, it's going to be quite an exciting event. I think, obviously, it's... how do I say this? So it's been a few years since he's been fighting, right? So I think he's gonna,
Mhm.
like I said before, there's gonna be a lot he's gonna have to pick up. Like I think we spoke about this, obviously with his trainers, where he is and things like that. I think he is on the right road to come back, but I think it might be a bit of a shock for him because again of how UFC has sort of evolved in the past year and a bit, how they are, what is currently happening and things like that. I think it's going to be a bit of a wake up call for him. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Like you said, obviously Conor McGregor, amazing to see him in fighting. He's talks a lot of crap, as we know, but then he delivers on it as well. Like so many times you see him obviously talk smack to other fighters and then he just literally knocks them out, within, a minute and a half or something like that. It will be good. Yeah, I'll look forward to it. Like absolutely, 100%. It's going to be, like a proper showdown. Obviously with the Ultimate Fighter Series 31 starting in May, I think, and finishing on August 15th. Yeah, that's going to be quite like good few months to obviously spend watching telly, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. It's the Ultimate Fighter, Michael Chandler, McGregor. It's not going to be boring. I think, like you said, the game's always evolving, and like we said in the previous podcast, he is surrounded by yes men, so he is going to have the biggest ego going in. He's going to think he's going to be able to do all these things, and yeah, it could be a wake up call. Hopefully, with the Ultimate Fighter, it will benefit. I believe it will benefit McGregor just because I think he'll be able to get into Chandler's head a bit more. With Chandler, I think he's a bit of an emotional fighter. He gets stuck in his head quite a bit. Okay. He'll say to the fans he's going to put on this sort of fight, and whether that benefits him or not, he'll do it for the fans. For us fans, it's fun to see. He's never going to be in a boring fight, but I think McGregor's going to be able to get into his head quite easily. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I think from Chandler's side of things, he's been I think he may be slightly changed because he's been trying to call McGregor for a fight for over a year now. So I think obviously he's quite hungry to fight, the Notorious as they call him, and obviously put on a show. I think maybe, like you said, yeah, I totally agree, a bit of an emotional one, but maybe he's gone past that now. Maybe he wants to, again, showcase his skills against someone who's been, let's just say, when you say Conor McGregor, everyone knows him on a UFC scene, don't you think? You make his name out there?
Yeah, absolutely. He's the biggest name in the sport there's ever been, I'd class him as a household name, to be honest.
Yeah. And they both are, if I'm not mistaken, similar age as well, which is going to be quite interesting again because there isn't obviously much difference in terms of like the age group, I think.
Yeah, that'll be good. You want to keep them. I think it's a perfect fight for both, is what I'm trying to say. I think it's great timing for McGregor to come back, not as quickly as possible because you don't want him to fight with an injury, but you also don't want him to have a lot of time off. I don't believe in ring rust, but not being active doesn't help. So I think it's a good time for him to come back. He's gonna have to start cutting some weight because he's a fucking unit at the minute. But I also think it's a good fight for Chandler. Also, it's a good opponent. It's a good stylistic fight. It's a big name. He deserves that paycheck because he's always putting on fan favorite fights. So, in that aspect, it's going to be great. And again, pair it with the Ultimate Fighter. It's fantastic. It's going to be a good one. They're going to talk a lot of shit. They're going to get on the mic, fucking create a bit of mayhem, get us fans going, and it's going to be a crazy fight. What are your thoughts? In the Ultimate Fighter, how do you think that's going to play out in terms of the fight? Do you think that the Ultimate Fighter will, the TV show part will affect Chandler and McGregor leading into the fight, or do you think that the focus will all still be there and it's just a side thing?
I think the focus is still going to be there. Well, like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Ultimate Fighter, absolutely superb TV series, right? You see a lot of different fighters, different skills, like different techniques and things like that. Obviously, you do have two big household names, yeah. The end episode when obviously they're both getting into the ring and fighting, that's going to be quite interesting. Again, two different fighters with two different styles. But I think it's going to like develop a lot in terms of like, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's going to be exciting. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love just like even the whole idea of them just talking crap to each other. There's like a few scraps going, like, you know, and then having the two massive names in the UFC game just being the coaches and like try to obviously hold them back and things like that. Like, I know for a fact that McGregor is not going to be doing that. Like, you can see it from the like Chandler side. Yeah, he's going to be the one who's going to be more of a protector of the team and things like that. But Conor McGregor's just not going to give a shit. I think he's just going to go like whatever happens, happens kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, absolutely correct. I totally agree. I think, you know, Chandler's going to be. This is the thing. I think Chandler's very much going to be a team player. As we know, McGregor's done the Ultimate Fighter before, and there's a couple of times where he missed a couple of trainings. You know, he wasn't a very present coach. You know, he was going through his own battles, etc. But you are right. I think Chandler's going to be there a bit more for his team than McGregor. However, I think for McGregor's mindset and his preparation, that is probably better for himself in the long run.
All right. Okay. Why do you think that though?
It's again, McGregor, with the way he sells his fights, he also has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Why he missed? I can't remember the reason, but I can't remember if they even said the reason why he missed a couple of training sessions in his previous, you know, stint on the Ultimate Fighter. I don't want to say he's selfish because he's not. Otherwise, he wouldn't be going on the show.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing the right things for his brand. I just think with the way that, you know, he carries himself, I do think, you know, I don't think he'll be giving it his all in terms of the training exercises. I think, you know, he'll do what he needs to do. He'll make it a good show. But I think, you know, I do think Chandler will be the better coach in the season, to be honest.
Yeah, I think McGregor's going to be quite ego-driven, isn't it? Because he's Conor McGregor. Yeah, I've got you know my own whiskey brand, this, that, and everything. I'm the bigger name, yada yada yada, and all this thing. When actually, at the end of the day, it's all about like, you know, Ultimate Fighter essentially, right? Like being a better coach, training, supporting, being there, like showing them, right? It's all about all this. When like you said, I think McGregor's just. He might change. You never know. Again, we haven't seen him in absolute ages, so he might have maybe changed. Maybe he matured a little bit. You know, maybe that's what he needed, really, just to mature a bit. And you never know. He might end up being the better coach. But you know, we're about to see.
Absolutely correct. You know, I'm only going off from what I've seen and what I saw previously. I would not be happy if I was on his team. You've got such a high level of fighter. You'd like him to be present at every opportunity, so you can, you know, better yourself. I think it's going to be a fun season. Don't get me wrong. You know, when the coaches do their activities and they play their stupid games, you know, against each other and get the opportunity to win the team some money. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great season. I just think, I don't know if McGregor is going to be as present as Chandler. But then again, you know, he's there to win the fight. That's one thing I have to remember. I get too caught up in what's supposed to be happening. I forget that he is his own man and he has got his own legacy that he's trying to protect. And if that means miss a training session, then that means miss a training session. He might see that as a benefit to him, you know?
Mm. Well, I can only add to that the season premieres on Tuesday, May 30th, and finishes on August 15th. So, again, for everyone who's listening, and obviously for us both as well, we're definitely going to be watching that.
Oh yes, buckle up for that one. It's going to be good. They're going to sell that motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now.
yes. I literally, cannot wait myself. Like honestly, it'll be a good season. Absolutely. Right. So that is it, guys, for this week's episode. Again, give us a follow on all the social medias. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.